Hey guys, this is Kat, and I just finished filming a video all about my relationship with my altar tools, and then I thought that this would also be a good time for me to now film a video about sacred texts, because sacred texts are also a very important tool for anyone who's practicing the craft, or Wicca, or paganism in some way. And sometimes a sacred text may have a place on our altar depending on what we're doing that particular day or that particular night. And I wanted to throw some names out there for anybody who might be new to this particular arena of spirituality or new to the craft, so that you can find some authors that you can Google and check out their books. So I'm going to give you some names in just a moment. But first, I just want to say that I think that sacred texts are not only, they can be anything from like hieroglyphs written on, an ancient Egyptian temple wall to lyrics from songs that people used to sing to things that are contemporary, like your own poetry or your own book of shadows, or maybe like memoirs that you've written or that members of your family have written. And that can also be the old myths and legends from various cultures, maybe pertaining to the ones that have the deities that you feel closest to. So there's a lot of different things that I think classify as sacred texts, and I think that that's something that you have to decide for you, which ones are important for you to read. So for me, I've definitely read more myths and legends about Celtic figures from the past, and also Celtic deities, because that right now is mainly the focus for my Wiccan practice. However, in the future I would love to study, obviously, other areas more extensively too. So one thing I wanted to show you real quick is the very first book that I ever read about Wicca and the craft. And it's not a book by a big name author, but it is one that I think was well written, and it has beautiful pictures. I'll show you the inside of it, and then I'll get to my list of names for people who've also written amazing books that you may want to check out. So this is my first book on Wicca. It's called The Wiccan Way, A Path to Spirituality and Self-Development. Alright, so Sally Morningstar, I guess she was the first Wiccan author I ever had experience reading. So there's a lot of photographs in this book, which was something I really appreciated. It's got information on rites, rituals, magical naming ceremonies, familiars. It has some different like charms and spells that you can do. It has various correspondence tables in here as well. It's got, I love how the love spell in here is actually focused on, like it's to help you find a lover, but it's not to actually make a specific person fall in love with you. You can use it just to make your own self stand out and be more receptive to love, which I think is a much more ethical way of doing a love spell. There's a healing spell, one for good luck. And yeah, like as you can see, there's just a ton of images and different things in here. So yeah, one of the things that I really thought was cool about this book, aside from the fact that it teaches you about the wheel of the year and the god and the goddess and nature and stuff, is that it also stresses the importance of setting up an altar at some point during your personal development for each one of the elements. So here it talks about the element of water, and it gives an example of a water altar that you can set up, and it does the same thing with fire, and yeah, with all of the different elements. So I just thought that was like really, really cool, because it helps you to connect better with your tools that represent the elements for you, and also to connect better with the natural world. And I think some of the books that we see now, this helps you to learn magical symbols and sigils and correspondences as well. Anyway, there's just tons of stuff in this book. It's a really, really it's a very well written book. A lot of love went into this. So yeah. beautiful artwork in here too. So yeah, that's The Wiccan Way by Sally Morningstar. And oh, there's a picture of her on the back here. That's her there. It's something, that book is something that has blessed my life, you know, and it consecrated my life and prepared me for the journey that I was about to take and that I'm still on now. So I always want to keep and hold on to that book and be able to reread it and just enjoy remembering the beginnings of my path. I have a lot of memories in those pages, you know. So anyway, okay, so I'm going to give you the names of some authors that you may want to check out if you would like to read some of the more classic works that are considered famous in the realm of witchcraft and Wiccan writing. So number one, you might want to start out by checking out people like Gerald Gardner, Aleister Crowley, Doreen Valiente. You may want to check out people like Starhawk and Margot Adler and Ronald Hutton, or Charles Godfrey Leland. You may also want to check out people such as Dorothy Morrison and Scott Cunningham. And, you know, there's other people who are actually very contemporary as well that you can check out, like, you could check out, I really like the works of Christopher Penczak and also Deborah Lipp. And I also think that the writing of, oh, not everyone is into her, but Silver Ravenwolf writes books that, well, has written books that have really helped people who are younger to get, you know, connected and understand Wicca and witchcraft. So she can be a good place to start too. And just on the topic of that for a second, I just wanted to say, I think that even if you read a book and you don't agree with it, it can still be a sacred text, because sometimes the things that we don't agree with, especially if we haven't yet read something that perfectly articulates what we do want to have communicated to us about a certain concept, sometimes those first things we read that we know don't resonate with us can be just as sacred, because they're equally as helpful in allowing you to shape and articulate in your own mind what you do believe. So I think it's good sometimes to read books that go outside of what you're interested in practicing, or outside of the style of writing or the style of Wicca that, you know, you feel primarily connected with. There's a lot of other authors that you can check out, but mainly the first group of ones that I mentioned are very classic authors that have written highly influential books that generally most of the contemporary authors are now basing a lot of their research and a lot of their work and ideas from. So it's nice to see the basis of what the new books are being written about, essentially. And then obviously with adding in their own flavorings and newer, more modern ways of practicing as well. So yeah, check out some of those people if you want to. Yeah, so thank you so much for checking out my video about sacred texts. And as always, I'm wishing you a blessed, magical day.